Good morning!
Sound of our teen sports listeners, I'm your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday,
9 a.m. Welcome, Teen Sports Radio, the show that gives that powerful voice to the next generation. Broadcasting here on AM 1290 and FM 96, the station that talks about Santa Barbara. We bring you the tips, we bring you the tools, we bring you the stories that empower today's teen athletes. From fueling your body with the right nutrition to sharpening your mindset for a competition to celebrating the amazing teens in our community. This is where sports, wellness, and inspiration meet. My name is Erica. I'm the Queen of Teen. I do not do this alone. For the last 15 years, I've gotten together probably the most powerful leaders in the community, people that these people love kids. This is what you need to do. You want to be on Teen Sports Radio? Tell me you love the children. Dominique, we'll start with you. You have 5 children.
I do.
It's amazing. It was quite a journey.
Yeah, but you don't have to have 5 children. You can adopt. You can foster. There's lots of ways you can participate with teens. You don't have to necessarily have.
Well, you don't have to have any children. Brings up Emily Yurchison, okay? And we've got Christine Marie. How you guys doing?
Fantastic. Good. I love children. I teach so many children, and I'm so grateful for children in my life and these teens. So I'm so happy to be here today with all of you on Teen Sport Radio.
Teachers are the best peoples, and you guys spent your life teaching. So, oh my God. Christine Marie, you had the little ones, and you went up to, you went all the way through high school, right?
Yeah.
I spent the first 20 years of my life, of my professional life, 16 to 36, working in early childhood education with children in one way or another, even through college and whatnot. And then after that, and I was a Waldorf kindergarten teacher, and I loved it. And I was also, then I spent a year or two substitute teaching, and I substitute taught in high school, which was really fun. And then I was done.
Because you needed a nap with those high school kids.
Oh, I loved the high school kids. It was fantastic. I used some of my Waldorf teacher training, and I made them shake my hand and look into my eye every day when I took roll, because that was like what I did. And actually it was a really neat experience, because one of the kids had me sign his yearbook. He said he'd been through all 4 years of school and had very few teachers really connect with him in that way. And so that made me really happy.
Nice. Beautiful. Of course, we have our personal trainer on board, Fit for Life 85, Alex Ramirez. We've been together for a long time. How you doing, Alex?
Good. Thank you for having me. Yeah, 15 years since your boy was a teen in high school.
That's it.
That's crazy.
I always say this, my kids didn't really play many games because they were flipping tires with Alex Ramirez. That's what they were doing. Not those little tires that he does now with his older clients. Those big 16-wheel tires.
Yeah, the tractor tires.
Yeah, we use the tractor tires. And then we found the biggest hill in Santa Barbara, okay? And then you had an early roll call. Kids don't drive, so that means mommy has to get up at 6 a.m. I just want to say. Okay, those November ones that was quite taxing. I'm just saying. Yeah. I remember having to stopping and getting my coffee. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
My God. It was cold. Don Sanders is in the house. How you doing, Don?
Very good. You were talking about children. I've helped raise 4, and now we've had for over a year a grandson, and we just found out that we have a granddaughter on the way.
Wow.
Congratulations.
That is awesome.
Oh, I'm sorry, I just forgot to mention that I also helped, with the birth, and, I'm the godmommy of 2 children as well. So.
Oh, beautiful. Sweet. All right. So we're pretty much dialed in. Okay. But what I do a little shift here, okay? Because we broke this story. It's been around, not really in mainstream media. It's starting to a little bit, but when I get on something, I go nuts. All right, we go nuts, right?
We want the teens to know about.
Because they're the next generation, and I want them to have fresh fruit. I want them to have nuts, and this unfolding disaster is not getting any better. And we're talking about the collapse of our hives.
The bees.
Right, the bees. And it's the worst bee loss this year. 24-25 actually is now recorded as the worst bee loss in history.
So, Erica, I can put a little bit of a sense on the numbers. I know you have some other numbers, but the teens should know people in Santa Barbara County who have honeybees, they register their bees. And in Santa Barbara County in 2023, there were 18,000 people with hives. Well, guess how many there are as of 2024? 7,500.
Yeah.
So it's more, we have, not only are we losing our bees, but we're losing even the people who are able to help with the honeybees in Santa Barbara County. So it's quite drastic.
Well, the owner of Desert Creek Honey, Blake Shook, he basically has his one of the biggest, beekeepers in the country, and he's had an 80% collapse. Wow. 80%. Think about that. So think about what our bees do. Okay. They pollinate and 75% of the stuff that we eat, a third of all the crops that we get pollinated. The 75% is all of our fruits and vegetables. It's a $15 billion industry. And this disaster, we need to stop talking about little things during the day and start talking about the things where we would like to have your grandchildren have fruits and vegetables to eat, because it's not sustainable if this continues for a few more years. That whole thing of fake food, it's a reality. Okay, we might end up eating the things that we think are gross right now because we don't have a choice. And can you imagine what it would do?
Also, a lot of people don't know that to pollinate the fruit trees across the country now, they truck beehives on semi-trucks across the country. And how long can that go on with great success? You know, like spending tons and tons of money to transport beehives across almonds, apples, going across the country, trying to keep these things pollinated.
Not only across the country, they're bringing in beehives from Australia. They're bringing beehives in from wherever they can get them. It is going to increase our food costs. And in Europe, do you know they're finding microplastics in the bees? Okay. So we've got microplastics, we've got light from street lamps, we have antibiotic. Oh my gosh. There's so many things that are affecting our bees, but really, I think the main thing is habitat loss. Do you realize bees have to fly? They have a fun place to eat, and then they go through a desert before they find another fun place to eat.
Yep.
Meaning that it's just a matter of where we're building. I mean, you're talking about pavements of shopping centers and things like that.
I want to compliment
Santa Barbara. What we need to do then is when these things are being built, and I can't understand why they don't, because this has been going on for a decade. Okay. It's just really bad this last year. So when we're building things, we have to keep that mindset where we need gardens built into plans, and they shouldn't be able to get approved without thinking about the bees.
So they are doing that in Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara is considered a bee city, and Santa Barbara is incorporating the need for the landscape to be happy for pollinators.
Okay. Well, the world needs to wake up. The country needs to wake up, because I like my fruits and vegetables. I'm sorry for the little segue, but the kids are the future, and the kids can make things happen. So kids, this is right now. This is an alert. Urgent. Wake up. You need to help us. You need to live this drive for the beehive.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, let's take a little break. Next up, we've got a lot of show, and we'll just take 2 minutes and we'll be right back. We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday,
9 a.m.
Hello, welcome back, Teen Sports listeners. This is Ryan Quirk with another self-mastery story. If you don't know who I am an author of the book The Journey of Self-Mastery, available on Amazon and through my website, RQ, that's my initials, RQ, selfmastery.com. I coach youth hockey and I've done a lot of work with teens and young people, and I joined the Teen Sports Radio Show for the sake of telling these little self-mastery stories, little moments from my life or from stories that I've heard from other people that lead us into greater awakenings within ourselves and help us lead better lives both on the field or on the court or on the ice rink and off of it as well. And today the story I want to talk about is finding what you love to do and why that's so important. And specifically I'm going to talk about it from the angle and the lens as a personal trainer through health and fitness. And so I'm going to use some made-up names for this story, but let's say we have a hypothetical figure, and his name is Josh. And Josh is a little out of shape. He used to be an athlete in high school, but now he's an adult. And he wants to get back in shape, but his girlfriend, say her name is Emily, is super into CrossFit and wants him to do all of this intense, CrossFit type of training, but that's not really up Josh's alley. It doesn't really call to him. It doesn't draw him in. It doesn't excite him. And so he sits there feeling bad about himself because he's like, why can't I be as motivated as my girlfriend Emily? And should I try it? I don't know. I've tried it before. I don't really like it. And he wasn't really sure to do. So one day, he decided to clear his head from all this and go for a walk. And he went for a walk, and he really enjoyed it. He went for a 20-minute walk, not too long, and he came back and he felt better. His legs felt a little looser. He felt more calm, and he was like, wow, that was really, really amazing. And so the next day, he went for another walk, and this time he went for a 30-minute walk. And the day after that, a 45-minute walk. And the day after that, a 60-minute walk. And eventually, he was doing a 1 to 2 hour walk every single day, and he just loved it. And other people might say, oh, that's not true exercise. You need to be pumping iron or lifting weights. But for him, it was a start. He found something that he really loved, and it was because that he really enjoyed it and loved it that he was able to do it every single day. He actually didn't even need motivation or discipline anymore because he simply loved what he was doing. He found that within a few weeks' time he'd already lost some weight, he felt better, and that encouraged him to start going for jogs, going for runs. And because he felt so much better and was just riding this positive wave of momentum and energy and doing the things he loved, he decided to sign up for a local tennis league, and he started playing tennis. And it was through this natural path of starting small and finding the things that he enjoyed doing rather than forcing himself to do things that he did not like to do that he was able to lose weight, get in shape, and be the healthiest that he's ever been. And to this day, this hypothetical figure, Josh, still doesn't really enjoy the CrossFit style training, but does many other forms of training and is in the best shape of his life. And what is the moral of this story? The moral of this story is that you should be open-minded to trying new things. If you've never been in the gym, if you've never lifted weights, you should give it a shot. But if you really find that you're not liking something, or at the very least at this point in time, it's not calling to you, realize that there are always other options. As a coach, I see so many kids playing sports that they evidently don't like, that their parents are forcing them to play, and you should never have to force a kid into a sport. Sports are meant to be fun. It should be self-motivating, and sometimes it takes a little feeling out. Now, if you have a screaming young kid who's, a little resistant to going to a practice for the first time, that's a little different. It's important that young people and people of all ages try new things. We put ourselves out there, we try new types of sports, new types of training, new types of ways of staying fit and healthy, and try new things in our lives, new foods, new ways of thinking, new ways of living. However, once you've given that thing a really good, my grandma always says, a good college try, you really tried it, you really gave it a good taste test, if you will, and you still really don't like it, realize that there are other options. Not everyone's path of health and fitness, not everyone's path of diet, of the sport that they like to play, is going to be exactly the same. And not the reason for everyone playing what they play or doing what they do is going to be the same either. My mom's been a personal trainer for a long time, and she's kind of I call her a fitness junkie. She's kind of crazy with it, but me and her are very different. I love working out alone. I like throwing on my headphones, getting lost in a song, and working out alone. It's kind of like a meditative space for me. For her, one of the biggest draws and benefits of working out is the group element. She does group training classes, these little boot camp things at the crack of dawn. It's absolutely crazy. And She does sprints and runs stairs and does running groups with groups of people and biking and all other kinds of things. And for her, the communal aspect of working out with other people is a really big draw. So, if you're a young person or you're not a young person and you're looking to get in the best shape of your life, to feel your best, or you're just looking to try new things in general, even if it has nothing to do with fitness or sports, be open-minded, try a few new things, and do a little bit of self-inquiry. You know, do I like things that I can play alone, like golf or tennis or swimming, or do I really love the communal team aspect of things? When it comes to training, you know, do I love the high intensity of slamming weights on the ground and moving things, or do I like yoga, Pilates, walking? You know, it's important to stay balanced and do a little bit of everything. And of course, there's going to be some days that, you know, you don't feel as motivated, even though I myself love lifting weights. There's some days where I'm like, all right, Ryan, you know, let's get that coffee in you. It's time to go, even if I'm feeling a little less motivated. But the main point is this. Discipline is a powerful force. However, you are going to go much farther doing something that you love. Doing something that you love is so important. Our time here is limited, so it's important that we live a life of health and happiness, and part of living a life of health and happiness is doing the things that we love, especially in the realm of fitness. I see so many people quitting their fitness programs or not losing the weight that they want to lose because they were doing something that they hated. They were eating a diet they didn't like. They were doing a workout program that just didn't work for them. If you are looking to get back into fitness, I recommend doing what Josh did and just starting to go for daily walks and getting accustomed to that and feeling that out. Daily walks can be incredibly enjoyable. You can do it with a friend. You can throw on an audiobook and just do them longer and longer every day. Or you can do multiple walks a day. You know, maybe consider getting a puppy, getting a dog, and then you'll go on 3 walks a day, and it'll keep you up at night. But that can bring incredible joy and fitness into people's lives. So find what you love, do what you love, because we're the best versions of ourselves when we're doing what we love. And be open-minded to trying new things, but once you've given it a good college try, stick to what you like, stick to what you know, and do the things that you enjoy and get better at those things. That's a huge part of the joy of things, and it's what makes every one of us and every athlete different. You know, there are amazingly successful tennis players who they're very different in their approach to training. You know, some of them are very almost like militaristic, and they are super disciplined and quiet, and they get really locked in. Other people, in order to perform at their best, have to be cracking jokes and lighthearted. They need to feel loose. They need to feel relaxed. So do some self-inquiry. Do a journal reflection. Go for a walk. Think about, what is it that I really enjoy? What gets me ticking? What gets me going? They say that, the old thing that was posted at the Oracle of Delphi above the building. I'm blanking on exactly what it's called, but the quote was, know thyself. Know thyself. It's so important to know yourself, get familiar with yourself, get familiar with what works for you, what doesn't work for you. That is true power. Self-knowledge, mastery over oneself, falling in love with oneself is so, so, so powerful. We spend our lives trying to appease other people and do things for other people, and we don't spend enough times reflecting and being with ourselves and finding the things that we like to do and the things that make us tick. So be like Josh. If you don't like CrossFit, don't do it. Give it a good try, and then maybe try going for a walk, or try playing pickleball or tennis or ice hockey or basketball or whatever it is. Find what gets you going. So that was today's self-mastery story, self-mastery segment. Again, my name is Ryan Quirk. You can find my work at rqselfmastery.com, or you can look up, my TikTok or other handles at just Ryan Quirk. I might pop up there. And you can also find my book, The Journey of Self-Mastery, on Amazon. A very simple guide into living your happiest, healthiest, and wealthiest life. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.
We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday,
9 a.m.
Hey, Teen Sports Radio listeners. This is Alex Ramirez with Fit for Life 805. And so I want to expand on what Ryan was talking about with, finding a fitness program. There are some things that I highly recommend, which, I feel like are non-negotiable, which is walking. I think walking is probably the best form of just natural, low impact exercise. It doesn't cost anything. It's free. You can do it anytime. If weather is, kind of hindering your ability to get outside, then you go inside and find a treadmill if possible. But I think walking is very beneficial on so many levels. One, for your circadian rhythm, of course, your heart, fat loss, maintaining your weight, the mood. It puts you in a better mood once you get back home. You're just in a different mindset. So those are little things that are non-negotiable. I think, 15 to 20 minutes in the morning and in the evening, if you can get it in, it'll be very helpful, especially for your sleep. Gosh, it does so much for your sleep. And sleep is the most underrated thing that you can work on. That's also free. And you just, it's never perfect, but you try to work on it, getting 7 to 9 hours, and walking will help you with that. But the other thing that's non-negotiable is the strength training. You want to try to get 2 to 3 times a week. But here's the thing, not everything or not everyone likes to lift weights. And there are different forms of weight training, resistance training. You can use bands. You can, of course, use your dumbbells, kettlebells, barbells, but there are machines. Body weight exercises are totally fine. Anything that makes your exercise a little challenging, a little more difficult to do, anything where you're at least trying to sustain that lower body strength, because that is key, especially for kids, playing sports. Body weight training is the foundation. If you don't get good with your foundational body weight and learn how to control that, you don't even pick up a weight with me until I feel like you are good with your own body weight. So just things like that, finding a program. Don't be scared. Whether you're a kid, teen, an adult, find a trainer. If you're hesitant and scared, don't avoid finding that program that'll work for you. It might not be with a trainer. It may not be on your own. And maybe it's a group class. Maybe that style doesn't work for you. But give it the good college try, like Ryan says. Give it the good college try. Find a program that works, Pilates, yoga. Do something, because if you're not strong, you will feel it and you will experience it as you get older, and your quality of life will go down. So you train to be strong, to have a good quality of life, and to really, for me at this age, is to travel. I want to be able to travel and go anywhere and go do anything at any time and not struggle at the airport, be able to run across the terminal because my flight's delayed. Same thing with kids. You gotta be ready to train and then work and do whatever you want. You want to play, go outside. It's good to be strong. You got to go ride your bike. It's good to be in conditioning shape so that you can go 3-4 miles on your bike and explore all of Santa Barbara. So find a program. Don't just quit after your first try. Really find something that you enjoy, that you will do, and there's no excuse. Like, you enjoy doing it, so there's no excuses to avoid it. And if you're coming up with excuses, it's because you don't like it. And so find something else. Give it that good college try.
Yeah, Alex, this is Christine. I used to have a friend who would say, I'll try anything once, twice if I hate it. And I thought that was great, because it's like, if you really don't like something, you give it another try to make sure, it's like, well, why don't you like it? Was there this? Was there that? And I do believe it. And I also believe it's so important to find something you love to do and to listen to your body. What does your body love to do? Can you hear cues in that way? Because to listen to our bodies, because those things have been incredibly important for me.
Absolutely.
And I think too, like integrating things in your daily practice. So you talked about walking, and it's like, wow, getting together with a friend and walking and talking, right? Like, I think so many of the world's problems can be solved when you walk and talk. And the other thing I'm going to say about traveling is, so I got certified to teach yoga in the Bahamas. And I was like, well, I'm going to keep practicing every day. So at the airport, I pulled out my yoga mat and I did yoga before I got on the plane. And it was amazing. Nobody cared. They were like, I thought, oh, people are going to be watching me. And in fact, in some airports, they have yoga studios. In San Francisco airport, you can go in and there's a whole studio with mats and, it's all set up. So I think it's so important that we don't think of exercise as separate from our daily life. And like, I have weights, and I notice in other rooms, like, we have weights in our bedroom. And so like, I'll play the piano, I'll practice, and then I'll do 10 curls and I'll like integrate it. Or if I'm in the bathroom brushing my teeth, I'll do my squats, right? So it doesn't have to be like, oh, I have to go out and exercise, but it could be like, oh, I'm going to integrate it with my movement is part of life. And it's part of the joy of life to move in our bodies.
Yeah.
Dawn.
Another thing I like what you brought up there, Alex, is you might have to give that old college try more than once. I mean, not everything is going to be a hit with you on the first try. And if you just write it off, you may be missing something that could have brought you an immense amount of benefit. So, sometimes you got to stick with something a little while, and then you learn to love it, because then it takes a while maybe to start getting the feedback that it's doing something really good for you. So don't keep just hitting things and then moving on too quick is, I guess I want to say.
Absolutely.
Okay, then if you overdo it, what's going to happen? Because he's up next. He's looking at me. Okay, he's waving. Hi, so everybody say hi, Sky. So
hi,
he's going to be
Sky.
talking. There you go. He's going to be talking about pain. And Sky Ellsworth is up next, right after these messages.
We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
Every single Tuesday.
9 a.m.
Welcome back to Teen Sports Radio, everyone. This is Sky Ellsworth, and I'm a student at Life Chiropractic College West. And as always, I am very excited to be with you today, and we are going to be talking about pain. Yay! So exciting. Pain. But not pain in the way that you think about it. Pain in the way that you're probably experiencing it in your life right now as students. And that type of pain is the pain that you can't necessarily put your finger on, but it's the type of pain that distracts you from being in alignment with who you're meant to be in each and every moment. So I know we've talked about the 4 types of pain in the past, and I want to go into those again today in just a little bit more depth. I'm pulling from the field, and it feels like that this will be most useful to everybody listening. The very first type of pain is the pain of avoiding pain. And this is one of those that's extremely common, but it's also very simple. Pain, all you have to do to overcome the idea of avoiding pain is just be aware that pain is there for a reason. It's not about asking why it's there. It's just about understanding that it's there for a reason and allowing it to just be. Once you've done that without the hunger to try and change it, then you can experience something more and start to shift that into something else. But you have to be with the pain first. So what other types of pain are there than just physical pain? Well, there's the type of pain that is disconnection, that type of pain that you can't put your finger on, but when you finish school, you go home and you immediately sit in front of the TV and eat the same thing every single day. Maybe you sit down with a microwaved pizza and you just sit in front of the TV for hours before you can have enough energy to do your homework. Or what about when you're in the middle of a school day and you just finished a class where you had to sit there and pay attention, and now you're going to turn on your phone and go on Facebook or Instagram and watch cat videos over and over and over again as a means of avoiding who you're meant to be. It's not always something that you can put your finger on, but you're avoiding something. And that's the pain of avoiding pain. You're doing things in your life that lead you towards entropy, that lead you towards breakdown, versus syntropy, where things build up and you start to allow yourself to become more. So, what does this type of pain mean energetically? It means that the energetic strategy that you're using to experience the world, for adapting, organizing, for the meaning that you give things, is inconsistent with an overall healthy life. This is when, if you're talking to a friend or even a parent, and it's almost like you're talking to that inner infant or child inside of them, the one that says, "Mommy, Daddy, make this go away," right? If you think about it, the pain of avoiding pain is all about the bioenergetic intelligence, the emotional energetic intelligence. This is about basic function. This is about survival. This is about connection and disconnection. This is about sometimes you feel really stuck, but you know that there's something more. This develops the bioenergy and the emotional energy, metabolic function, basic needs, eating, drinking, being able to experience an emotion. All of these qualities develop before the thinking mind. Think about the evolution of a baby, right? The baby, they come into the world and they have to have their basic biological needs met. And then they start to develop an emotional intelligence where they start to express different emotions. Then eventually the thinking mind develops, and this is later on in life. But what this means is that the cortex is disconnected. The body is stuck in a story, or even in the process of the disease itself. And the way through this is what we've talked about many times, which is the idea of AAA, right? Acknowledge something, become aware of something first, then acknowledge it, and then accept it for what it is without the hunger to try and change it. Or to even understand it, right? That's what a lot of people struggle with these days, is you want to understand everything. And finding the meaning of pain, it's really important to understand this key component. If you take nothing else away from this little tidbit then you will have amassed an incredible strategy for the rest of your life. Finding the meaning of pain, trying to understand pain, regardless of whether it's from a physical perspective or a spiritual perspective. There are a lot of spiritual practices or things that people do to try and understand the meaning of pain. Inner child work, certain types of meditations and yoga are all a means of trying to understand or find meaning behind what it is that you're experiencing. This is a defense strategy. And it's really important to understand that this is a defense strategy to avoid experiencing it. This is one of the hallmarks of avoiding pain. The feminine energy in life really understands this, right? The feminine says, I want you to just be with me in what I'm experiencing right now. I want you to hear me beyond the words. I want you to sense me. Be with me here in this moment. The masculine energy says, well, I can tell you why you're there in this moment. It's not that one is bad and the other good. It's both parts of the same thing, right? It's important to have that knowledge and that understanding of how you're expressing things. And that's the classic example that you see in comedy shows that are making fun of dynamics between the masculine and the feminine. And the feminine will always just, it leads to all sorts of disagreements because the feminine wants you to just be there in the moment, and the masculine is always trying to fix it. They're trying to explain it. So that's the pain of avoiding pain. Then you have the pain of not being able to manage your circumstances. This is that person that you say, hi, how are you? And they start to tell you, well, this happened, and then this happened, and then they did this, and this person did this. The circumstances are overshadowing the you, the person, the soul behind that. It's about the conditioned self, the where, the when, the what, the how. Am I liked? Do I fit in? Now the emotion is getting up to the thalamus, right? It's getting up to the middle brain. Now you're functioning as a role. Oh, I'm a teacher. I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer. I'm a student. I'm a son. I'm a daughter. I'm a child. I'm a mom. I'm a dad. Right? And then that is how you are framing everything in your reality that you experience. And then you adapt your environment to fit that. You adapt your environment to fit your pain. All of this is a way to fit into the cultural field that we've talked about so many times. It's a reflection of that, right? Think about social media, right? Social media is trying to convince you that everything is polarized to keep everybody neutral. If you're not neutral, then you get uprisings, you get disagreements. And we need that. We're not demonizing that. But it's important to understand, when you're on social media, this is a reflection. It's trying to tell you that everything is black and white. Grays don't exist. And this is also the pain of not being able to manage your circumstances. Changing the circumstance doesn't help. The pain will follow you to the next thing because the you that's interpreting the world hasn't changed. This is like, this is one of those things that we carry with us as part of the cultural field because, most of us are within 3 generations of someone that's experienced a world war. During the World War, the energetic was all about fitting in. And it equated fitting in and fitting into the cultural field and that model with survival. And then you get a flight or flight response. You get that sympathetic response where your nervous system is reacting to something. And again, this creates the pain of not being able to manage your circumstances. So I would love to go on more about this, but I'm looking at the time as I'm talking and I'm already running out. So next week we'll cover the other 2 types of pain in a little bit more depth than we have in the past. And the idea behind all of this is to just have an awareness of it. It's not to try to analyze your life to death, but it's to start to understand how our bodies express pain and why our bodies express pain. And once we start to have an awareness of that, and we can actually accept it, then we can move on and experience so much more in our life. We can start to get behind the pain to what the body is actually telling us, to what the soul is actually trying to tell us. What is the concern behind the symptom? What do I feel? What do I think is going to happen if it doesn't go away? And as I start to ask these questions, I start to get to the root of the problem. And once I get to the root of the problem, the root of the pain, then I can use that pain to answer what the pain is trying to tell me, which is that I need to experience more, and I need to experience more now because there's not enough energy to reorganize to the way my life is changing, and to what I need to be, to who I need to be for the world, to who I need to show up for myself, for my family, for everyone I interact with, and for the world as a whole. All right. I hope you all have a great week, and I will see you next week on Teen Sports Radio.
We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday,
9 a.m.
For Teen Sports Radio, I am Don Sanders. Don's Massage, Ojai.com, 805-236-2684, here to bring you a hygge. A hygge is a Scandinavian term for a comfy, cozy feeling akin to receiving a hug without actually receiving the physical hug. And I wanted to talk about dialogue. We've talked a lot about, our individual self exploration to find our jam, to find what we like, what we don't like, but to really grow as human beings. My Buddhist teacher, mentor, and philosopher Daisaku Ikeda used to talk about how we're only human in a biological sense unless we open ourselves to learning from everything and everyone around us. We're meant to just be soaking up all kinds of things from all over the place. And then we learn to discern about what is beneficial and what's not beneficial. But, since COVID and all the isolation, it's like a lot of people are still suffering from this thing of like, what do I want to do? What do I think? And and we can't, and even at the top levels of leaders of countries and things, it's just about me, I. So it's like, only through dialogue and not going in to win, but going in to be open to the possibility that you might learn something that's going to change you in the process. That is what it's all about. And it's not always comfortable. Like, Sky and Ryan were both talking about like, you might try this thing and it may not be your jam. Well, as Alex was just saying a while ago, you might have to try it again. You might have to try it a few more times and you might come to like it and realize that it's doing something really beneficial for you. And without that, my Daisaku Ikeda also said, without dialogue, humans are fated to walk in the darkness of their own dramatic self-righteousness. Dialogue is the lamp by which we dispel that darkness, lighting and making visible for each other our steps on the path ahead. So recently, an amazing young woman told me about, one of the legacies Ikeda left was the Ikeda Center for Peace Studies in Boston. And they conduct ongoing training and practice of dialogue there. And if you have access to Spotify app, go to the Dialogue Studio. I just finished a great one. What I just shared with you was from episode 30, where they were reflecting on their work in 2024. But check out Spotify, the Dialogue Studio, and really be open to this idea of expanding beyond what we're comfortable with, because that's how we grow and how we learn. Anybody, thoughts?
Yeah, that's wonderful, Dawn. What I'm thinking about is like, just because Like dialogue is so fantastic because just because someone has a different perspective or a different view from us doesn't make our view wrong. But and it's not about either or. It's really about adding to the perspective, right? I love that idea of like there's a point of an observation and then there's a whole 360-degree sphere around that point, and all those perspectives are valid. And so it's such a neat thing to discuss, to ask this person more about why they see it that way, or what does it mean to them.
Right. And to enlarge our understanding. And my wife remembered a beautiful Japanese analogy of like, we need to help others along their way, not just ourselves. She was talking about this. There's an analogy of these people, they had long chopsticks and they were trying to feed themselves, and they could get up the food. They could pick it up with the chopsticks, but they were so long, they couldn't get it to their mouths. And so the solution to the problem was they picked up the food with the long chopsticks and they offered it to somebody else to put in their mouth.
All right, Em, we got a minute. What do you want to say? And then I got to close us.
I was going to say it's so funny. Sorry.
Hold on, Em. Em's up next.
So I would like to compare that. When I start teaching guitar, I teach people about the beginner's mind, which is the Zen philosophy of releasing the preconceived notions of how you think things should go. And so when you let go of these conditioned ideas, you actually learn to listen. And we listen not only with our ears, but with our heart. And I think that's how we dialogue.
That means we got to go. But listen, parents, grandparents, and kids, we're losing millions and millions of bees. We're on a bee alert, all right? So let's do your part. Plant flowers, choose organic when you can, support our local farmers, talk. Let's use our communication, a lot of dialogue. Okay, we need to have this community come alive. That's what we're here to do on Teen Sports Radio. Signing off. God bless everybody. See you next week.